do? Are you gonna get a job, or are you gonna leave the house?
I don't know. I'm gonna open that tattoo restaurant.
No, like, for real.
I am being real. It's never been done before. I looked it up. I Googled it. It's never been done, not even as a joke.
Because no one wants to go to a restaurant and watch people get tattooed while they eat. It's gross.
It's the best idea ever. Ruby Tattoosdays, where everyone's welcome. Chicken and tattoos.
And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. As I said, I recently talked with, I was going to say sit down with, but I didn't. Well, I was sitting, but I was sitting at my computer. I recently talked with director Judd Apatow, the director of This Is 40, Funny People, 40-Year-Old Virgin, and many more, about his new movie, right here behind me, The King of Staten Island, starring SNL's Pete Davidson. It was an interesting journey getting to the screen. How did it work? How did it happen? Well, here's my talk with director Judd Apatow. Hi, Judd. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can I start with a nerdy kind of filmmaker question, Judd?
Yes, please.
Okay. How do you, because everybody's life, I was thinking about this as I was watching it. Everybody's life has a story, and you do this so well. When you were working with Pete, how do you figure out the through line? And I know this is probably a much larger question, but how do you figure out where the narrative line is? You know, you take out this ancillary character and this. How do you do that to craft the narrative of a 2-hour movie?
Well, sometimes what I do is I think somebody has a problem, and what would it take for them to learn the lesson? And that's really what I'm trying to accomplish. And sometimes when I'm working with someone, it's a real problem that they have in life. It's not just something we're making up. And we're imagining health. Like what would have to happen to me to understand what I need to do to make my life better, to grow up, to evolve. And usually when your life is a mess, it's kind of funny, and unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so we're watching a trajectory of how we grow.
What was the through line? Because I think of like This Is 40, and that's tackling middle age. And I think of what was Pete's arc here? What was the lesson in with Pete on this?
I think that there were a few. One is in the movie, his dad is a firefighter.
Yeah.
He died in a hotel fire, and his mom hasn't really dated since then. And when his sister goes to college, she starts dating Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Who's also a firefighter. And Marissa Tomei plays his mom. And it is about, can he open up his heart to a new father figure? That was what I saw the story as. And can he let go of a lot of the wounds and the trauma that has held him back and made him question whether or not he could ever live up to his father's sacrifice? That's something that Pete talked a lot about, that it kind of, when you're a little kid, it confuses you. You're not really sure if you ever could do anything worthwhile when you have a parent who made the ultimate sacrifice for other people.
Because this is based on Pete's life, for you as a filmmaker and as a partner, what special tools do you have to use, to be sensitive of the subject material, to be sensitive of the fact that this is real, that you don't really have to deal with when you craft a narrative out of your head? Are there special challenges with that, Judd?
A lot of it is just moving very slowly. This process started with me and Pete just talking for weeks and weeks, him telling me everything, what happened, how he felt about it, what he thinks are the obstacles to him healing and feeling better. And then, we just talk about it. Like, are you comfortable talking about this and exploring this little area? And Pete, he really did something that's very generous. He shares his story with the world. I think people who have similar grief in their life will really relate to him. And he's also hysterically funny. He's found a way to use humor to explore issues that people don't talk about that often.
I guess this is a question rolled into a compliment for you and Pete. I went into this, and I say this sometimes about Stern interviews. When I listen to a Howard Stern interview, even if I'm not a fan of that person, I come out of it a fan. I was a fan of Pete, but I got to tell you, and again, this is a question wrapped in a compliment. This movie, even though it's slightly fictionalized, really opened Pete up in a way to me, just an audience member, in a way that, I didn't get from him on SNL or anything like that. So was that hard to pull out, or did that come surprisingly pretty naturally for Pete?
I think it's actually more natural for Pete to do this type of work. He is very open. He's a great actor. He's a very, very good writer. He's not afraid to go there and be vulnerable. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, they sense his pain. They know he's in pain. And some people are attracted to it. And I think it triggers some people because you feel it in him. You feel it in his eyes sometimes that he's carrying something. But I think we all root for him because we're like him. We all have a loss like Pete has in our lives. And I think this movie is the perfect medium, you know, for him to share his feelings and his story. And I think everyone's about to get to know him a lot better because he is a really great person.
What surprised you at the end of this? You know, you got to the end of the process. What was it that you look back and you go, oh, it didn't go the way that you thought in a good way? What surprised you?
You know, one funny thing that Pete always talked about is that he's just so responsible. You know, you would think, is Pete gonna like show up on time every day? Like what kind of what kind of worker is Pete? And Pete is so responsible. He would show up early every day and go, I'm the early guy. You didn't think I was the early guy. And you know, one beautiful part of it is he was also the producer of the movie. And I think he really cared about the crew and the whole production. And I think it was a great experience for him to learn how to make a movie and be responsible for all of that. And that was very special.
Well, Judd, I just appreciate, like everyone getting ready to talk to you is going to say, a huge fan. I love your films. I love the voice that you give to folks, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you. Take care. Be well.
Thank you. You too.